Hey everyone, and welcome to the Good News and Notes with Pastor Phil. We'll be looking at scripture, its meaning, interpretation, how it affects our life, and also we're going to see how the world of music amplifies the good news. So let's buckle up and jump right in. Welcome back, everyone, to the Good News and Notes with Pastor Phil. And today we have our guest, regular on the podcast, Pastor Barbara. And how are you doing, Barbara?
I am doing well. It's going to be above freezing today. This is a good thing.
Yes, I think it's getting into the 30s, upper 30s.
It's just barely above freezing, but I'll take it.
I was going to get my shorts and sandals out.
Oh, you're braver than I
am. For people who might be new, because we've definitely had people join the channel, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm a retired ELCA pastor. I came to the ministry later in my career. I attended seminary when I was in my 50s. So I have been serving congregations and in my retirement doing pulpit supply and interim ministry for about 15 years. I live in La Crescent, Minnesota, and I guess that's about it.
Yeah, you were just over the bridge from La Crosse.
Exactly.
So if you ever need anything, you just come over to the big city.
Oh yeah, the promoters of La Crescent would bristle at that.
Yeah, I tell people, it's funny moving here, and they say, "Oh, La Crosse, the city of La Crosse," and the highest building is what, maybe 6 stories. That's the cathedral.
Exactly.
And it has 55,000 people when the students are here for the 3 universities. But it's a nice place.
Yeah.
So today we're going over the text of Micah. And I'm putting that up for us.
All right. Yeah, this, for people whose congregations follow the lectionary, this is the first reading that's appointed for this coming Sunday.
Yes.
And would you like me to read it?
Please do.
Okay. Just a little word about it, maybe before we jump in.
Please.
In this section of the book of Micah, the prophet sets it up as a traditional lawsuit model. So the first few verses are God's complaint against the people. And then the people's response. And then finally, in the last verse, the one that is most often quoted, what I call the verdict is rendered.
And Micah is a minor prophet?
Yeah, although he would the information I have on him, he was active and considered prominent in the time of Isaiah in the 8th century BC. But yeah, in our scripture galaxy, he's considered a minor prophet.
Right, yeah. Great, let's hear it.
Okay, from Micah chapter 6. Hear what the Lord says. Rise, plead your case before the mountains, and let the hills hear your voice. Hear, you mountains, the case of the Lord, and you enduring foundations of the earth. For the Lord has a case against his people, and he will contend with Israel. O my people, what have I done to you? In what have I wearied you? Answer me. For I brought you up from the land of Egypt and redeemed you from the house of slavery. And I sent before you Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. O my people, remember now what King Balak of Moab devised, what Balaam, son of Beor, answered him, and what happened from Shittim to Gilgal, that you may know the saving acts of the Lord. And now the people respond, will fill him with burnt offerings with calves a year old, will the Lord be pleased without ram with oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? And now the verdict. He has told you, mortal, what is good or God. So I think it's kind of interesting to use the form of a lawsuit to deliver a message from God.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's very interesting,
And
the wording.
yeah, and I can just hear the Lord's words as, the beleaguered parent of teens and 20-year-old kids. What have I done? Why do you treat me like this?
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, really. Oh, and I certainly didn't.
Yeah, it's I mean, we of course it's Old Testament, early Old Testament, and it's the law.
It is the law. And I always take it as some sort of a personal challenge to find a bit of the good news of the gospel in a passage that we usually package as law.
Right. And where do you find it?
Yeah, that final verse, where do I find it? I find it in verse 8, the one that's most often quoted, that I'm guessing a lot of your viewers and listeners might even have a plaque in their homes or office that has, "What does the Lord require of you but to do justice and love mercy and walk humbly with your Lord?"
Yeah.
Which reads like law, but I think the gospel embedded in it is, this is not that hard, people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, the answer isn't the Lord requires you to solve the housing crisis for all the poor people in the world or to clean up the water all over the globe. The Lord wants you to do your part a little bit. Act with justice, seek out kindness and mercy, and walk humbly with God. Walk with God, not with the notion that you can give God some tips on how to run the world, but that you have something to learn.
And just love your neighbor.
Exactly.
And you brought up a good point where I tell my congregation a lot. Like you said, this is not hard. It can be challenging at times, depending on what's being done to us. But, living out the gospel, being the salt light of the world, can be as simple as holding the door for somebody at Quick Trip in the morning and say, "Oh, good morning."
Exactly.
You may have turned their whole day around. You may have saved somebody's life.
Yeah. In my community, there's a little Facebook group that focuses on the community of La Crescent. And about a week ago, after some of the big snowstorms we got early in the month, there was a whole series of posts in that Facebook group. I don't know who came by and plowed out my sidewalks, but I am so grateful to you. It's that kind of thing. If your snowblower is fired up anyway, run that extra 60 feet to clear off your neighbor's sidewalk as well.
Right.
And there was just post after post saying, "Oh, and somebody did that on my corner too, and here's where I live." And so it became a big, almost a scavenger hunt to figure out who did it, who was the doer of justice in this case.
Right.
And this is coming from Micah. Excuse me. Is this, I'm assuming, because I can't remember the last time I read Micah. I need to do that again. I'm assuming that this is God speaking through Micah to the people.
Exactly. Yeah. Micah, as a prophet, the scholars I have looked at say that Micah mostly spoke, the one image was to the marketplace rather than the synagogue. I mean, yeah. he was out there among the people and basically saying, here's what all this holy law means for you scrabbling to make a living from day to day.
Yeah. And he's walking the walk.
Do what is right. Don't do what is right. Don't take more than your share. Be kind to others. And be in a relationship with God that says you have something to learn.
Mm-hmm. And you chose a song for us this morning.
Oh, this one, it just kind of came to me out of, I don't know where, some crazy corner of my brain. But I was thinking about this idea, we make it harder than it has to be. And so, and I also was thinking about Martin Luther's statement about a shoemaker carries out his vocation not by imprinting crosses on all the shoes they make, but making good quality shoes for a fair price. So I thought, well, okay, doing justice and loving kindness is as simple as a hammer or a bell or a song. So I chose Peter, Paul, and Mary's If I Had a Hammer.
Yeah, and before we started this recording, you told us this came out when you were in college.
Oh, even before college. Yeah.
Before college.
Yeah,
okay.
This is, I think the version we're going to see is their 1963 recording. It's okay. Still, it was televised. It's still in black and white because color was a, slightly suspicious new big deal in those days. And, but the passion and the commitment was all there even then.
Yeah. When I was born in 1978. I think it was 15 years later than this recording. And I grew up with this song.
Okay.
If I had a hammer,
Exactly.
It's just a fun piece of music.
Well, and as I mentioned to you earlier, I think before the recording, when I was looking through various versions of the song to see which one I wanted to suggest for us today, I saw I can't give appropriate credit because I didn't make note of the name of the YouTube channel, but a young person's YouTube channel who, it appeared from the rest of what they were playing, was primarily into hip hop and rap type music. And somebody had sent in a request for this song. So he dutifully played it, and it was this version. It was the 1963 version. And it got done, and he said, I've never heard that before. And oh my goodness, did I feel old.
Okay, well,
I wanted to go into a chorus of kids these days.
Right. Well, let's listen to it.
like to sing out love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. Ooh, and I got a hammer, and I got a bell, and I got a song to sing all over this land. It's the hammer of justice, it's the bell of freedom, it's the song about love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. It's the hammer of justice, it's the bell of freedom, it's the song about love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land.
Let's pick up the tempo a bit, huh?
Exactly. I mean, how can one listen to that and not, it makes me smile every time I
Yeah.
hear that.
It's a song about love between my brothers and my sisters.
Yeah, and the message of it is quite simple, I think. Whatever it is you do, whether you're a pastor or a podcaster or work at the Quick Trip,
Mhm.
Do it with a sense of justice and kindness and love for one another.
Mm-hmm. Kind of connects to the gospel reading last week and the week before that. You get spiritual gifts, and you got about spreading the gospel, and everything you do with the glory of God, with love for all people.
Yeah. And this coming week's gospel, the Beatitudes,
Yeah.
I mean, there's even a connection there, because maybe the agent of blessing for the people who are poor in spirit or who are suffering is you doing what you do every day. Running your shovel a few extra feet down a neighbor's sidewalk, or whatever it might be.
Yep. Blessed are you.
Grabbing an extra cup of coffee to bring to the person who sits at the next desk to you at work, at your office.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. Well, as we close, do you have a message for people?
Oh gosh, if I were preaching this week, as it happens, I'm on a bit of a break from my pulpit supply through the winter months. But if I were preaching and preached on this text, I would just want to say, folks, it doesn't have to be hard. Do what you do every day, but do it with the love of God. And, and the differences can be amazing.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much, Pastor Barbara.
Well, thank you for the invitation. I enjoy doing this.
Well, anytime. You definitely will get another one.
Okay.
Well, blessings to you.
And you as well.
And there you have it, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and please join us again next time for the good news and the notes with Pastor Phil. Thank you, and goodbye.